Like, was Amy held back because it says she's a freshman starting at 15, and I started high school at 14. So I think that she may have had to have super kindergarten. This is a 30-year-old teenagers podcast. We're going to be doing Secret Life of the American Teenager, episodes 6 through 11.
I'm Joey. This is Dolores. We're, again, going over the show, and we're going to the high school of Ulysses S. Grant High School, which is the worst high school ever.
They never go to class. One thing I noticed is you never actually see them, at least in this 6-episode bank. You don't really see them going into the class. They're just
We're actually in episode 11 now, and you don't see them in class ever. And that never happens.
They walk the halls. They just walk the halls. Yeah. And I think in one episode they do show them in a classroom, but that's not for 5 or 6 more episodes.
That's okay, so I think it's when Ben is in a classroom, one of the assistant principals picks him out, but that's about it. But most teen dramas, you at least see the classroom sitting. In this show, we don't get that sitting. It's just the hallways and the counselor's office. Again, first episode, the counselor, Mr.
Molina
is maybe more of a plot driven character. He's
kind of a MacGuffin, a little bit. I feel really bad for this guy.
He disappeared, I guess.
Yeah, it's I don't know if he'll be back. I can't remember anything past episode 11 right now, because this is what I've watched all day long. But I feel really bad because he's just a guy trying to do his job. He starts off with just getting to know every student. And in the process of getting to know every student, he loses his damn mind and helps the girl track down her father. And he's probably going to lose his job over it, because instead of them quietly meeting, her father busts in with a machine gun. He can holds the school hostage. I need my little girl back. I'm taking her back with me to Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's just the arguing in Spanish, the just bullheadedness. It's just a ride. Mr. Molina's probably dead in a ditch somewhere or institutionalized. Nobody knows. He's gone. I think, I'm not going to do any spoilers for the rest of the show. Who knows what happens past this episode? I don't. Not at all.
So episode 6, I don't remember much about episode 6 besides the fact that it's one of the worst episodes so far. I did say that Ben is continuing doing his mental abuse towards Amy. Was this the episode that Amy told her parents that she was pregnant, right?
Yeah, episode 6. Yeah, that is when she finally comes clean to Anne. And what I don't understand is how everybody in this town knows everything about everyone else. And yet Anne, who's a stay-at-home mom and going to the grocery store and shopping, doesn't clue in. In, I think, episode 7 or 8, she mentions that the bag boy told her that Ashley got a ride home with somebody, a cashier said that Ashley got a ride home with the bag boy. But nobody in this town noticed that, to tell Anne that Amy was pregnant, and everybody knew but Anne. And I felt that was just a weird thing that everybody's telling everybody everything. That's bad. But at the same time, I'm just I just picture, remember that episode of The Simpsons where Marge is pregnant with Maggie? And everybody's saying to Homer, coded stuff. And then he said, really good job on getting Marge pregnant. I'm pretty sure that was happening to Anne all over town. congratulations on the special delivery. Thanks, I really do love the new furniture that George brought home. And just like not understanding, because it took Amy, episode 6, like 5 times to tell Anne that she was pregnant. I'm pregnant. What? I just woke up. I'm having a baby. Is this a school project? Like, no, mom, a man put his penis inside of my vagina and now I'm pregnant. And that, I think, was just Anne being completely oblivious, like stuff under her nose. She just refuses to see or accept. Is Anne slow? Because, again, Amy has to explain to her 6 times that she's pregnant. Like, like you knew something was going on. Your daughter's in the bathroom all the time and making phone calls and people are whispering, but she just could not quite make that connection. Like, it's just, it's either you see what you want to see or she's a downright moron.
Yeah, that's what Anne is. The way that Anne reacted to Amy's pregnancy, I'm kind of mixed on. The fact that Anne pretty much said that, hey, Amy, you need to go elsewhere.
Oh, yeah, that was...
You have to go to, like, either Mimsy's or, like,
Slut School, which is the sex movie romp that I really want to see. Slut School, by the people who brought you Ski School. Yeah. Like, you remember Ski School, which was a fun sex college romp. I would love to see Slut School.
I guess it kind of goes back to the whole fact Amy is viewed as this kind of like good girl. And, even like George said it in like the early episodes that Ashley would be the one that you would predict to get pregnant or get with some random guy.
They're all like working for their own like basic benefit. Like, nobody actually cares about Amy.
Yeah.
Like they don't actually care. Like, they just are all wanting their own individual interests. That's the main issue that I have with that, is that, they can act like they all day long that they care. Grace is there for the fetus. Ben is there because he's trying to hook this poor, sad girl. Ricky wants her to get rid of it. And Adrian wants her to get... I'm sorry. Ricky's actually there for Grace because he's trying to get into Grace's pants. And Adrian's there to get that little thing sucked out of her cooter.
She was trying to be friends with Adrian before that.
But I also think that just her ignorance in general is probably why she is interested in a friendship with Adrian. Because like I said, nobody in this show does anything actually out of actual kindness. They're all just trying to get something out of it. And I think Adrian senses that. Like, she's pretty distrustful of Grace for good reason. Like, you see that Grace is trying to be with Ricky in some capacity or another. And Adrian's trying to give her solid advice and warn her, like, hey, this dude is like literally gonna fuck your brains out, and you better take my giant roll of condoms. That the comical roll of condoms that Adrian produces in episode 11 is hilarious. She just like tosses them at her. It's like, take these. Fuck you, bitch. He's gonna fuck you. And it's like, you see Adrian being rough, but it's also like one of the few moments of actual kindness when you look past her being sarcastic and mean.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's gonna get you pregnant. As I mentioned in the previous broadcast, with they're acting like abortion is a simple, free process that any 15-year-old girl can like just run down to the local abortion clinic and spend no money and have no consequences, and everybody's happy. When in reality, it's a whole big process. At least in Texas, it is. So it's, I don't know about liberal California. So it's where this show is set. So there's a lot of fear mongering in episode 6, like basically trying to get parents who are maybe watching this with their children to be like, oh my God, this is happening to your daughter. She can just go get an abortion. Better vote Republican. Like, better vote for Bush in the upcoming election, or whatever fucking president was being elected at this point. So
I think
it was John McCain. It was 2008. It was Obama and McCain.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh wait, yeah. Because like I remember when like Obama like came into office. But anyway,
just the of the times, like 2008, like, dropped during an election year. It was pretty obvious why Brenda Hampton premiered this in like summer of 2008 with her that little crack. It's a free clinic. Like, it does not exist. I will say that every episode that does not exist in the United States. Those things are like $400 to $600 a pop, which, if you don't have a Ben in your life to like bankroll your abortions, you're pretty screwed. So it's, so episode 6, blah, blah, blah. Is she going to get an abortion? Of course she doesn't, because then there wouldn't be a show.
I don't have much to say about episode 6.
I think it's like episode 5 and 6 kind of blend together a little bit. Like, it's basically like, and that's an issue with like episode 8's a filler episode. Like, it's just them repeating everything from the last few. It picks up again in 9 and 10. 9 and 10 are really good. But
about episode 7, this is the first episode you actually really see Ricky's his parents, not like his like birth parents, but like his like adopted family.
Yeah, they're his foster parents, but they seem to be taking a extended role in his life. Like, really, is trying to step up and be parents. And one topic I want to bring up as an overall arc is the role of fathers in this show is pretty interesting. Like, he's like, I'm the best father that you could have at this point. And, Ernie Hudson gives an amazing performance as a counselor. Like, like you kind of see, I'm pretty disappointed in the way George acted. Like, it seemed like extremely immature. Like, he runs at one point during this episode, he runs into Ricky at Adrian's mom's apartment. This is a man having.
No, that was episode 8.
No, that was episode 7.
I wrote it down. It was episode 9, actually.
No. That was episode 7 when everybody skipped school. Because in this show, everybody.
That was, again, you're a little bit off, but like the pizza episode, what you call it?
No, episode 7. No, episode 9. Oh, it's episode 7. I'll pull up Freeform right now because I just watched this an hour ago.
It was episode 9. No, it was episode 9.
No, I'm telling you, because nobody in this town does anything separate. So when it says absent is the title of the episode, and Amy stays home from school, and then Ashley stays home from school, and then Ricky skips school to have sex with Adrian, and then Adrian's like, I gotta turn in my English lit paper. I can't do that right now.
Episode 9. That is episode 9.
No, it is episode 7. It is episode 9. Is the pizza.
Episode 7. That is not episode 7.
Everybody orders pizza from the same pizza restaurant in this whack job town.
That is episode 9. That is episode 9.
I am pulling it up on Freeform. Hold on. You know what? I am not going to argue with you about this, Julio. Hold on.
That's episode 9.
No, I'm pulling it up, and you owe me food sent to my house if I'm right. Hold on. Because I literally watched this absent. These people in this town cannot do anything separate. It is this hive mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like if like Amy was out giving one person a blowjob in an imaginary episode, everybody would be getting blowjobs.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, we're having oral sex tonight. Yeah, we're gonna order sausage pizza. Here, okay, they're hugging. I'm in episode 7. Yeah, he's saying, so he's basically walks in episode, because I'm watching it right now. He walks into Adrian's apartment, just lets himself in, and like Ricky is making a sandwich, or George is making a sandwich. Episode 9. Episode 9 is the pizza. I'm watching episode 7. This is the one I was like reviewing before we did the cast. Started the cast. So,
Side note.
You don't want to admit you're wrong. You don't want to admit you're wrong.
No. Like I said, Episode 9 is a pizza episode. That's a pizza episode.
Yes. And the sandwich episode, well, they've had several sandwich moments. Like there's like Grace episode 10, she's making a sandwich. Sorry, we're not on episode 10. I don't want to jump around too much, but her father screams at her for making a sandwich for a boy, which I hate Grace's dad. He is just a piece of work. Like, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but
it was episode 9.
Episode 7, I just saw it where he was screaming at Ricky.
Episode 9 was a pizza episode.
Yes.
Episode 9 is a pizza episode.
Okay, episode 9 took place on a Saturday. Because everybody's at home and everybody's having date night. That was the focal point.
Pizza episode. That's a pizza episode.
No,
that's
the episode. Why would they be skipping school on a Saturday? Why would we were skipping school? And it was on like a friggin' Tuesday.
Episode 9 is look it up.
I already looked it up. I just watched that where he's screaming at Ricky that he's going to have to be responsible financially for this baby. He's yelling at this 16-year-old boy about how he has to take care of it, and then he calls him trash. And so Ricky,
episode though.
That's episode 7.
Yeah, but the pizza episode. That's episode 9. Well, anyway.
That is episode 9. I'm agreeing with you on that. That's episode 9. Episode 7 is absent. And that's the one where everybody decides to skip school. The whole town gets a holiday because one person skips school. That's episode 7. And then episode 9 is the pizza episode, which is a remarkable feat of garbage. And but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay. Episode 7. Nobody goes.
Tell me I'm right, Joey. Tell me I'm right.
You're right. Okay. Episode 7. Nobody goes to school.
There's a lot of craziness in episode 7.
Yeah.
Like going back to Amy is being pressured to love the attention from Ben, which if that episode aired now, people would have a lot more to say. But back then it was like he's still being portrayed as sweet.
Worthy producers trying to make Ben as the lovable character that
scam. He's a little scam.
He quickly became, even since like the first episode, you realize no, he's not like a good guy. Ricky's better. Everyone's better. I mean, Ben is a weird, abusive, mental abuser guy. Like, he's not gonna punch you. He's not gonna beat you up, but he will mentally abuse you. He'll say, "I love you" so much that you'll believe it, And you're like, okay, this guy loves me this much, so I guess I love him back. And plus, Ben's stupid. Ben's quote the band, the Foo Fighters. There goes my hero. There's this boy that beats up Ben.
Oh man, he just kicked the crap out of him. It was the best moment. I forgot that.
It's alternative extension school for independent women.
So alternative. It's slut school. Say it.
Alternative extension school for independent women.
It's slut school. Your girlfriend is a slut. Just say it. She should be at slut school.
And nobody stopped him. Usually there's teachers and counselors. They all just closed the blinds and let this little boy get his ass kicked. Oh, it was chef's kiss.
That's why, we brought it up last episode, that Ben is a mental abuser, and I think Leo, his father, is not a great example of a person to look up to. Because Leo, it seems like he's no one's pressuring Ben, his son, to go with Amy. He's like, hey, you love this girl, marry her.
You love this girl. You know, I married young. You should marry young, you know, and just and
but they're 15. That's why like the Jurgens family makes so much sense. Whenever like Leo visits them, Leo's all like, "Hey man, you know, Phillips, sir, why not get married? I got money, so come on."
he's an idiot. Again, you love seeing him get his ass kicked in this round of episodes. Kind of deserves it. And I think that's the turning point is when you enjoy seeing him get hit that much. You shouldn't ever enjoy seeing another human being get beat up that much.
That is true.
But episode 7, so there's a scene. Ricky comes to finally say, because he's developing self-respect. He's at this like turning point. Ernie Hudson gives this fantastic monologue, which is out of character for this show to have any kind of lucidity, but Ernie Hudson fucking brings it, like he always does. And he makes any production he's in worthwhile. Nobody believes me, but I believe he made Ghostbusters and The Crow. And he just and his acting's phenomenal when he tells Ricky, "You are at the door of self-respect." And Ricky realized that how fragile he is. Like he gets all of his self-worth from, you know, sex and letting himself kind of be abused in a way because he just, you know, he didn't even use a condom with this girl he had never met. And, you know, and it just seemed like he was either trying to get somebody pregnant or just didn't care at that point after all these conquests. And he comes to Amy's door and is begging to be a part of his child's life so that he can be a father, you know, and not wind up like his kid wind up a train wreck or anything like him.
Yeah.
And then Ben hops out of the corner of the shot, knocks on the door, and he says, quote, "I hope you don't mind. I was hiding in the bushes."
I wrote that down too.
"I was hiding in the bushes. Hope you don't mind." And I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
He's just waiting for a moment of fragility from Amy to swoop in and just emotionally abuse her.
Oh man.
Like, here's my shot. I get a hug. And he just like revels in his fucking hug. Like any physical affection. Like, I know Ben has not lived through a pandemic, but that's pandemic levels of starve for affection. Like, because Amy tries to move and he's like, no, shh. Like, oh my God, you fucking rapist. Like, he
is like that. Oh man.
He's just an emotional rapist. And I know it's a terrible thing to call somebody, but I just hope that if I have a future daughter, she never runs into this man. Like a character archetype of who he is. And Amy he's holding her and she's like shaking. And she's like, "I think it's the baby." And I was like, no, that's your sense of well-being. Like, compromise, but everybody in your ear telling you what a nice boy this is. And
oh man, that's why I hate Ben so much. But
dude, can we talk Ben episode 7? Like,
we are on episode 7.
Like Mr. Molina, as you see throughout this, is just becomes like not episode 7, episode 8. He becomes exasperated with Ben's behavior. In episode 7, like Ben has reached stalker territory. He's carrying around a picture of Amy wherever he goes, trying to.
Yeah, like also like earlier in this episode, it seems like Amy was sick of Ben's shit too. Like she was like, really frustrated with Ben because like he was calling her like so much. It's like, hey man, just stop fucking calling me. You know, just back off.
And then she's made to feel guilty about feeling uncomfortable. He's just like learning stalking behavior from his crazy father, it's a missed relationship opportunity, Leo and Anne. Because you could have had Ben trying to fuck Amy, but her being like, "We're brother and sister now. We can't do that."
Oh, but like speaking, so like Amy does. I think it's like episode 11. Amy's like straight up like Ben, like, hey, let's like fuck, let's like get it on. But Ben's like, I don't know, man. I want to just like take it slow. If you're a 15-year-old boy who loves a girl, and the girl like says, hey, let's like fuck right now, there is no way in this world you're not gonna say okay. But Ben's like, nah, we don't got to. I'll wait.
Ben is the ultimate incel cuck. His cuckery knows no bounds. And he is just cucking it up. And he'd rather cuck than fuck. And he has basically, I think the only way that he could get an erection for Amy is if she had a picture of his mom on her back and he was fucking her because he's trying to turn Amy into his mom. And it's like, and he's Madonna whored her, and just her coming on to him probably reviles him like, oh no, your pussy's all puckered up, like, not like mother's was. And just that's the last vagina he'll ever see as his mom's. And Amy's pussy probably doesn't look like his mom's. And he's comparing pictures. Just
You're crazy like serial killer. Who knows?
His mom is probably stuffed in the back of the house, and that wasn't even his mom's grave. It's just the headstone. Like, that's why his dad was like, your mom's not, his dad actually said this, your mom's not actually your mom in there. What he meant was that their mom is in the back of the house. They could both fuck her every night. Like, that's what's going on in the Boykovich house, is them stuffing the sausage casing of his mother's corpse with their semen. The driver has to hose it out every night, is what I'm saying. I don't want you to edit this out, Blake. I want you to leave that in, a semen-covered corpse.
You see these sides of Amy that she's sometimes is not on, like, not with Ben completely, but there's moments where she feels like she has to kind of like submit to like Ben's love. Because, like, I mean, he has money, he wants to, like, marry her, so, like, she's like, okay, I guess I'll just go into this life. But there's moments where she's like, you know what? I'm more than Ben. I don't want this life. In this first season, you really realize how dumb Amy actually is. And
oh, gosh, she's, like, dumb as a box of paper.
She is. Like, you can tell her that, like, you can, like, give her if you give her, like, a shot of Everclear, it's like, hey, this is water. She's like, okay, this is water, huh? I'll drink it. She's like, oh, that's water. But it's Everclear, but whatever.
I think you told me a similar story about somebody we know that did that. But this is Pepsi.
So one thing I want to bring up about episode 7, because again, I guess I mixed up episode 7 with episode 9, but Ricky went to Adrian's condo early in the morning. Adrian's like, can't stay home. So I was wondering this. Before George showed up at the condo, how many times did like Ricky jerk off in that condo? Because I know that boy jerked off at least 2 times.
Probably had Adrian's panties on her head and was just like, oh,
exactly,
yeah. Like, I didn't even think about the grossness that's been going on there. And just, I hope she changed those sheets, young lady. Like,
you probably like had like Adrian's like a vibrator too, that's like, I don't know, like licking it or something. I don't know.
Adrian needs a vibrator. I think what the problem is that she doesn't own any of those materials, so she's out like getting deep.
There's like no way.
No, because she's too focused on getting off with men. I think that she doesn't have toys. Like, I don't know.
I think she does have toys. Like, I 1000% think that
I think that Adrian is not a toys girl. I think that she's looking for like warmth.
I'm like the opposite.
No. She's not like. I don't think. I don't think Adrian's kinky. I think that she's. I think that she's probably pretty vanilla in bed, but thinks she's the shit, and just like.
She's like 16. So I mean, you know.
Yeah, but like, so I'm
crazy,
just saying,
but.
I don't think she does, just because of like how much she talks about sex. I think that if she did have a vibrator, then that she would just blast that whole school. She'd be like, "I have a vibrator." Like when she screams at her, she screams, "I have sex." She would say, "I masturbate," and you don't hear her vocally say it because, like, she
does.
I don't know. I am on team Adrian has not mastered masturbation like exactly. I think that like she's more I think that all right. Point. This is my Adrian debate on does Adrian masturbate? I think she does, but not with a vibrator. I think that she's looking for the warmth and comfort of another human body. Because you see her like abandoned a lot, like, and I think that she's looking for that kind of like softness that you can't get from like toys.
Well, okay, so like obviously that's what like her like ultimate thing is, to get like a human connection, you know, and that comes up a lot in future episodes with her dad and like her connection to like Ricky and stuff like that. But she does use vibrators. She uses toys because like her mom is like very whatever. I mean, maybe she uses her mom's vibrator.
She just wanted her mom. "I'm using your dildo. Clean it off after you're done, honey. I love you." And just Adrian's mom. It's just I hate the portrayal of this character. Like it is just awful. Like, to stay on the topic of toys, this is more of proof that Jack is gay. And I feel like they give us little tidbits. So I think episode 10 or 11, I think it's 10 or 11, him and Grace discuss getting back together. And she says, "You have to wear a ring." And he's all like, she's like, "Well, I want you to wear a chastity ring." Like, "You mean on my finger?" And Blake kind of noticed this because he's watching with me. And it's like, that's a cock ring joke. And it's like, how does Jack know what a cock ring is? And I'm pretty sure that Jack is like out at the clubs because you don't really see Jack as much as the other men on this show. Like he's kind of
like
life.
Because like Jack was gone for like maybe like 2 episodes, like solid. Like you didn't see him. I feel that whenever I think about cock rings, I think you're very kind of hetero, because cock rings suppress semen. They suppress things. So
is that what they do? I've never like really understood the function of them.
Yeah, so like, that's what they do. They like hold back the guys come. They like hold back the whole pressure. You know, I've never used one. I've talked to people who've like used one. I've talked to girls who like had guys that like used it. One of my best friends, she loves when a guy uses it because it just goes on longer. Because he like suppresses it. I don't know. Whatever. You know, Blake, if you want to keep this in, that's cool. But so one of my things, whenever I'm like, you know, doing it, which I learned maybe maybe 10 years ago, like so. If you again, this goes back to the whole cock ring thing. If you're like about to come, you kind of pull out some, and you like kind of ring the face of your guy, you're like your cock, whatever, and that suppresses it, and that makes you last longer. So that's why cock rings exist.
That's with Professor Joey, who discusses the merits of cock rings. Because I was with at least like one guy that used it, and I just figured he just like enjoyed it because like I didn't see any difference, and I was just like, I guess that's just something he likes to use.
Oh. Did you experience him without a cock ring before?
Yeah. This was a dude I was dating, and he was. It felt pretty much the same. I don't remember there being any difference. But at the same time, I'm kind of ignorant for some of this stuff because I just like don't think about like men's penises during their off time. And this like I saw this like this was years ago. I saw this like thing in his bathtub that I thought was like a plunger. And it was like, and I kept seeing it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I left my fleshlight in there." And I was like, "You're what now?" And he's like, "I masturbated to that thing." And I was like, I thought that was just like a thing you use for like when the tub gets clogged. And to be fair, to my credit, we have a little plunger thingy for the sink. And I hope that Blake isn't masturbating with this when I'm not around.
Maybe.
He's gonna hear this. What's this thing? Oh, just use it to plunge the sink. And that seems like a situation that, to get back to the show, that Grace would probably find herself in. Jack, what's this thing? Oh, it's a little plunger for the sink to get the gunk out. Oh, okay.
Grace is like naive, hardcore.
I want to bring up one of the best moments when Ricky is really like just making the like leap. Like, I want to have sex with this girl, because in his defense, he probably doesn't know another way to show affection. Like, he is just automatically thinks that liking a girl means that you want to fuck her. And so he grabs her and like licks cookie batter or whatever off of her finger. Yeah. And she's looking at him. Is this oral?
Oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. I think it'll affect the yield. Does this count as oral?
No, this doesn't count as anything.
Maybe not to you.
Like, she has no idea what oral sex is. And I think that might be the catalyst for her trying to be friends with with Adrian, because she wants to know more about sex.
You saw the first two episodes what Grace and like Jack had going on, but it's much different from like Grace like Ricky, because like you could like tell that Grace is. It seems like her pussy is like really wet for like Ricky.
It's puckering up for Ricky. Like, that is like she likes Jack because he's a nice boy and he's pretty.
Yeah.
But she's like hot for Ricky.
Yeah,
and like there's some serious
like really like just like drop trowel, like hey.
Yeah. And Adrian senses that too.
Like
like Jack is a nice boy who I'm sure if you give him the benefit of a doubt will wait as long as possible for you for certain reasons. Like, I think we should wait, Grace. And I'm going to be gone for 3 or 4 episodes. Don't need to worry where I've been. And so you can kind of like see this kind of like Grace getting hot for Ricky. And Adrian like smelling her pussy over like from wherever she is. And there's also the kind of lesbo kind of vibe that you get. Like, there is sexual tension between Adrian and Grace. Like, Grace is, I think so. I think that Grace is excited to be around somebody like Adrian. Like, she's never had adventure. She's never had friends.
Go on.
I'm just saying that I think that Grace is excited and probably a little titillated by being around somebody who's that much of the world. As even
Well,
though and I think that them's kind of sitting awkwardly, like almost like Grace's father was interviewing a boy that Grace was on a date with. Like,
because I can see like the attraction, but I don't think that has a bisexual feeling towards like Adrian. I think she is interested in like that lifestyle, like being
okay,
free, not holding back on like your family and like religion, and that's why I think she gravitates towards like Adrian later on. Okay, so like one thing I wanted to mention about episode 8, which one of like the big storylines with this episode is this is the episode that Lauren and Madison really kind of stick out. You know, they've
mhm,
always been like Amy's kind of like friends. They're bad friends because they were the people that announced
mhm.
to the school that Amy's pregnant. But yeah, in this episode, they're strangely fighting for like Ricky's attention, and Ricky chooses Lauren.
It's I and then when I was thinking about that when I was watching that today, the whole Lauren and Ricky arc, one of our favorite scenes in episode 10. They're sitting at the picnic table at lunch, all eating, and Ricky comes, is like, "Hey, I need to speak with Amy." And Lauren's like, "I can't stand this guy." And then gives him a big wink, which Amy's
Yeah,
oblivious to. And then Lauren goes and sits at a table 2 feet away, just by
yeah.
herself with her hands folded, and then proceeds to have a loud conversation with
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson
Oh yeah.
about making out with Ricky at the same table 2 feet away. Like, I better sit over here so no one suspects I'm fucking this guy. And then I moseys on over just a few feet away to tell her father about this. And then, plot twist, her father is Ricky's psychiatrist. What? Because they're the only two, like, or 2 out of 3 visible people of color that they have
Yeah.
shown in this show so far.
Again, like based on what the show has like shown us, I hope that that was a last minute decision. I think Brenda and the other producers were like, "Hey, you know what? They're both black, so let's make them related now." So
I wonder if Ernie Hudson had notes. He's like, I don't like this. And they're all like, well, we don't care if you don't like it. You fucked up your career after Ghostbusters. I don't like this. I don't care, Ernie Hudson. You go back in there and ham it up. And they're just, that is your new black actress daughter. And poor Camille Winbush, I'm sure she hated this, that they made the
oh,
only black girl on this show be the one who betrayed her friend and made out with her baby daddy. And I felt like that was like kind of a betrayal of Lauren's character, because in the first 5 episodes, she comes off as smart and, and reasonable. And then she falls for Ricky's tricks. And it's just, the show doesn't have a lot of faith in women. Like, it seems to like portray most women as dullards. Like, they're all dumb as boxes of paper. Like,
yeah.
Ricky bats his big boy eyelashes, and they're all ready to drop their pants and just go for it, And it's just like, and even like they had like, I think my favorite moment, it was the very end of episode 11,
Yeah.
when he goes for this like random extra who cannot act worth anything. And she's like, "Hey, I'm just kind of busy right now." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you don't seem busy." Okay. And then he does this weird somersault down the hallway of the school. And I've been trying to interpret this somersault all day. Like I saw this about noon today. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Is he like, I'm back in the game, baby? And just like drives away. But it's
That's like representing that. Yeah. It's
like
back in
what does it mean like for him to do a somersault after a girl agrees to go back out with him after he dumped her? Like I don't know what that means. I don't think the writers knew. I just think they threw that in there and just as
I think I think the writers like knew what it meant. It's like basically like, Ricky's back in the game, blah, blah, blah. Episode 9, I remember watching it. Cause I didn't watch like the first season of the show. When I was rewatching it recently, this episode, it was like just scene for scene. I was like, I remember this. I remember this.
pretty memorable.
And again, this is like my favorite episode so far. One of my favorite parts is that Tom is left alone at the house because like Grace is with Adrian looking at or like stalking Adrian's father. But Tom's home alone. He has a few $100. He calls up a prostitute, and I still love that scene. But it's weird because like you first see the pizza guy come to the door, and the pizza guy is like telling Tom, hey Tom, you have a lot of money. You should really kind of cover that up. So you would think that would come into play, but it does not. He gets like his prostitute. The prostitute does not take advantage of him. She's just like, hey, this is going to cost you $200.
Can we use the word sex worker? Can we use the word sex worker instead of prostitute? Because I love Betty. Like, I love her so much.
Betty's the best.
And so she is a fantastic sex worker. She is amazing. I feel bad for her because she's the whim of a pimp. It was her like what she was describing. Not to take over what you were saying, but yeah, she is amazing, and you really just come to immediately kind of love her when she appears to Tom and warns him that not everybody is as nice as her.
Like she like charges Tom $200, but if you notice, she only accepts $180. She gives Tom $20 back, which is cool. But my issue with that kind of is that the fact that the pizza guy before was basically saying, hey, Tom, be careful of this extra money you have on you. So like that makes you as a viewer think, okay, Tom's going to lose this money. He doesn't really. He spends what he intended to spend, It's not like Betty robbed him. Betty was solid. She was a good girl. She hung out with him, ate pizza, and left.
Yeah, she could have easily also just taken advantage of Tom in other ways, Jennied him from Forrest Gump. Like, you ever been with a woman, Tom? And just,
Yeah.
and but she explained to him that the world is not nice because Tom has been protected. He's been pretty sheltered away from most things, which isn't to his benefit either. It seems like he's lonely and he's looking for some kind of affection, which is probably normal if you're in that kind of situation that Tom is in. But also you can see that Grace's family is just super controlling in general. Like, it's not just Tom. Like, they won't even let Grace hang out with a friend without interviewing them first. And this is like a 16-year-old girl. Like, she has no freedom whatsoever. Her father, and I mentioned this earlier, sits her down and with Adrian, what are your intentions with my daughter? Like, this is just, like, ridiculous. Like, you don't trust this girl at
Yeah.
all. And, and then she can't even, I think the same episode or an episode later, she's making a sandwich. And her father berates her for making a sandwich for Jack,
Yes.
somebody that she's close to, and that even if she's not dating him, wants to be friends, and she can't even make a sandwich without her father shaming her and making it seem like she's a tramp for making a sandwich.
Her dad is like a really bad guy because like there's a few moments also how he treats his wife, Grace's mom.
Mhm.
Really bad. It's not a good way. It seems like she's in a weird abusive relationship that she can't get out of, but she's cool with it, because she's in that mentality. But yeah, Grace's mom, I think,
Her father can't think of anything outside of transactions. Like, this is a wealthy man who, when she's like, your mom makes you dinner every night because I'm having sex with her, Grace. Think, little girl, think. And it's just,
yeah.
yeah, and
he
it's like,
legit told her that too. Yeah,
like, the only reason your mother cooks for me is because I'm railing her bones every night. And it's like, that's
and
not.
that's a bad thing to like tell your like a 15-year-old teenager, kid. It's like, yeah.
Like, if I do something for you, you do something for me, because that's all I know of love. And just, this kind of like control situation that Tom and Grace are both in is like ridiculous. Like, Tom is smart. Like, even though, he's mentally like, he's got some issues. The show is supposed to be portraying him with dignity, but at the same time gives no faith in his abilities or Grace's or any woman on this show. Every woman is depicted as a ditz or an irresponsible mom. Like, there's, except maybe Ricky's mom, but even then she still dropped the ball. So it's,
Well, I didn't want to like say too much because I like mentioned this before. But if I remember correctly, sorry, spoilers. I think Adrian becomes pretty smart later on in the series. Like, she's like a top, I don't know, whatever.
Like, she's supposed to be smart academically, but emotionally she's portrayed as very childish. Like, which is, it's just like, it's, they're trying to say it's because she didn't have a dad, but it's pretty heart-wrenching, just that whole scenario, that all she wanted to do is just like get a look at the guy and see who he was. That's all she wanted. And the whole story arc is like terrifying if you're like a young lady.
Again, the way he introduced himself to her is like, hey, I don't want you around at all. We have this agreement that your mom owns you. I don't know you, blah, blah, blah. And then like the next day, her like dad is like at like the school, like, hey, I want to adopt you. And you're gonna come home with me.
It's fucking like, crazy. I would have run away too. Like,
it makes no sense yet. It's like that's why I've said like this show is insane. Every episode is like 5 or 6 episodes storylines.
No, it's just like every time you see Ricky and Adrian about to like fuck, full frontal nudity fucking, which is what everybody wants. Like, somebody busts in to ruin it, like, George showing up when Adrian's coming home from school, and, Adrian's about to fuck Ricky for breakfast, and her dad busts in screaming in Spanish to her for like showing up to the door in her bra, and like and I'm like, I don't speak any Spanish, even though I have, like, my mother is Hispanic, but I understood every word of what he was screaming at her. Like, I'm watching this with Blake. He's like, I don't know what they're saying. I'm like, he's screaming at her for opening the door in her bra. And it was just like, this hilarious, like, I have custody of you now. And this is my issue with like Adrian's mom is just like never there. And then it's just like passing off her daughter to this strange man that she hasn't spoken to in 15 years. And it's just hilarious. Like, I am your father, and you're coming to live with your strange, weird half brothers whom you've never met. And I'm sure you won't be molested at all. And it just.
Yeah, because, man, just how Adrian's father is portrayed early on, yeah, it just seems like it's like a bad idea.
And he only cares. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. He only cares when he finds out Adrian is sexually active. Like, that's the only thing he cares about. Like, you can't have you. People know you as a school slut. I have to intervene. I have to intervene. And it's just like, yeah, you didn't fucking care when I was making all these really good grades and shit. Like, you just care that, like, I'm out having sex with people that aren't your sons. Like, there is this bizarre thing for the fathers to leap into action like at random times during the show, like Leo showing up everywhere, Grace's dad, and just only being there to try to take charge and like the women are not competent enough to handle their children. We'll be handling things from now on, and just kind of this ridiculous thing. And yeah, it's Adrian leaving. I'm gonna say it was the right thing for her to run away.
Oh
like
I don't think she was like running away per se, but she needed that break. I mean, so much was going on. She met her father. She had the whole Ricky thing. It's like, yeah, you need to have a break, drive out, whatever.
I'd like to point out that when her father says, "Your mother said it was okay for you to come with me," is what every kid is told when they're getting like those like be careful classes in school, like lectures. If a strange man tells you that your mom said it's okay to go with him, don't go with that man and find an adult that you trust. And because Adrienne did not have any adults she could trust, she just fucking bolts, because this is a topic that's not brought up. And like when you're in school, what if there are no adults you can trust? Like her mom is gone all the time and then makes a side custody deal with this creepy guy. And because he immediately starts flouting his like connections as the DA, and immediately busts into the school, goes in the guidance counselor's office and starts demanding shit. Like you like said 24 hours ago that you don't want anything to do with this girl and for her to leave. And now you're demanding custody and somehow wooed your former girlfriend into giving you custody. It is a fucking nightmare. And if I was Adrian, like, I would not have stopped for that cop. I just would have kept on fucking driving.
But Adrian, like, put on, like, lipstick or, like, lip gloss as soon as, like, the cop pulled it over. So it seemed like the intro to, like, a porn scenario.
This whole show is a porn movie where nobody ever has sex on camera. And it's incredibly frustrating for the horny among us that they just can't show like anything. And it's, and it's like, it's just bizarre. Like, and okay, I'm going to tell you right now, counterpoint, the kissing on this show is disgusting. Like, it is really gross. It sounds like ASMR. Like that every time there's any kind of necking on this, you hear their lips moving, and I just get just kind of vomit a little bit in my mouth every time that they kiss on this show.
That's fair.
Back to the show. Adrian's dad is mess of a human being. I'm really disappointed, and again, I've said it several times on how her mom is portrayed. It's not like, it seems like there's something I read a little bit earlier, just kind of bring up like current events, the Britney Spears thing, where where women are treated their problems as individuals versus as cultural issues. And the issue of Adrian's mother being kind of like out on the streets looking for men or out working is kind of a problem just as a culture. Like you see the way that that Amy was treated by Ashley, like you have to be nice to Ben. He's nice to you. You should love him.
The show does not do anything to make guys look good. They look like abusive. They have issues. Yeah, it's not a good.
Like George is a buffoon. Adrian's dad is. He gets called out several times. Like you weren't around. You were in the same town, like 3 streets down, and you just ignored your daughter when you could have like gone to the grocery store and heard about her like hanging out with dudes and and it's just like there's this kind of thought that I have where there's no room for women to explore their sexuality. Like Ricky gets to have sex and fool around, and nobody cares until he gets somebody pregnant.
He's a douchebag,
I'm gonna maintain that this is an act. Like he's not a good guy. Like this is all an act. And Ernie Hudson calls him out on it as a mental health professional in this universe.
Well, but like again, without spoiling things, Ricky
I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm gonna stick in this 5-episode bank. He's faking it. Like he is messy. Ricky is a trashy little boy. Like he is not like satisfied with ruining Amy's regular life. He wants to ruin her personal life. So he goes after Lauren, bats his little boy eyelashes and like licks his lips, and Lauren is all over that shit because who can resist this sexual prowess of Ricky Underwood? And it just, even though she was like, I will never fall for Ricky, and of course she falls for Ricky because the girls are stupid and girls are dumb and they're scattered, and the men come in like clownish buffoons trying to clean up the mess these women have created because it's repeated over and over again. And even Adrian says that a girl's got to take care of herself. Like it's basically the responsibility of birth control is put on women in this universe. The condoms being thrown at Grace, the women having to announce their birth control that they're using, and just like basically reiterating to young women that you have to be responsible. Which, to bring up another show on 90210, that's brought up by Kelly when she, I think in a really famous episode where she announces that she had been date raped, and she's like, never rely on the guy. And it's just kind of this like, where women are that like you're teaching, the show is not to get preachy, teaching young girls that you better have condoms on you because the dude won't. It's just like Ricky's other conquests are always like, even though he's supposed to have like bedded dozens of girls or however many girls at this school, they're always off screen. At least in the last 11 episodes that we've seen, we don't see anyone except this other girl that it's implied that he slept with, but they don't ever bring her up again or mention her by name. They're invisible unless it's you just have these like diametric portrayals. Like you have virginal Amy, like, oh my God, I just didn't even know what was happening. And then Adrian, like, you knew exactly what was happening. And that's also implying that Ricky doesn't carry condoms on him, on his person, which no wonder he got a girl pregnant, Oh, I forgot. Okay.
Oh my God, so like this concludes our first half of the American Secret Life of the American Teenager. All right, Dolores, will you kind of wrap up the first 11 episodes of?
First 11 episodes are a ride. Other shows would probably have this in 3 or 4 episodes, but they took Amy revealing her pregnancy, deciding on the pregnancy, and staying in school to a whopping 11, almost 1 hour episodes.
And Dolores, where can people find you on the social medias?
30-year-old teenagers on Instagram is what I'm currently using. So just find me on that one.
If you're trying to find me on the social media, you can find me at Nimrod Horror on Instagram, and on Snapchat you can find me at Joey from 3232. I've been doing more Snapchat things again, so follow me there.
And thank you so much for listening. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah. Suck some dick, bro. Bye.